Africa is constantly battling spates of xenophobia. The violence is often rooted in the rhetoric that foreigners are stealing jobs from South Africans, but there's no truth to that statement. That's according to the Director or Chief Director for Democracy and Population and Statistics South Africa, and that's Diego Iturralde, and he joins us now for more on this. Diego, thank you very much for availing yourself. And I do want to apologize because I misrepresented you in the beginning there with this roundtable that you took part in, that Statistics South Africa, rather, representative, said that it is estimated that there are 3.95 million migrants, or there were, in South Africa in 2021. Maybe firstly, let's start here in participating in this roundtable. Your contribution, especially on this matter of the number of migrants and statistics, whether we have them and they're accurate in terms of migrants in South Africa.
Yes, good afternoon to you. Let me start by saying that we were invited to this roundtable at the University of Stellenbosch on the basis of a statement that was released by a group of migration scholars in South Africa. These included scholars from the Human Science Research Council, from various universities, etc. And what we indicated in this particular statement is that there seems to be a exaggeration of the size of the foreign national people in South Africa, and that this misinformation is contributing towards the narrative that is ongoing around foreign nationals purportedly taking jobs of South Africans. We have most certainly estimated, in terms of the 2021 mid-year population estimates, that the size of the migrant population as of the mid-year of 2021 stands at approximately 3.95 million. And this is quite consistent with what other estimations of this population are being made by entities outside South Africa, such as the World Bank and the United Nations Population Division. The mid-year population estimates, as you might be aware, is a demographic model which we run every year, and which its main purpose is to estimate the size of the population of the country in the middle of each year between censuses. And from that, we, as I indicated, we have estimated that the size of the migrant population stands at 3.95 million as of the mid-year of 2021.
So when we break it down further and take a look at how you collect and collate this data of that population when it comes to employment in South Africa, if you could please help us with that.
Yeah, so the 3.95 million is coming from a demographic model, so it's not a data collection in any way, but it is based on data that has been collected in the past. Most principally the population census of the past, and as and when we receive data that speaks to the changing migration patterns, we are able to adjust that. So in particular when it comes to the issue of COVID-19, and we know that migration patterns were interrupted by that, we made certain adjustments to the migration numbers in the model as it comes to that. However, when it comes to labor migration, we do run the quarterly labor force survey. It's one of StatsSA's main surveys, which has been run since 2008, if I'm not mistaken. And in 2012 and 2017, in the third quarter of those years, we inserted a migration module into those surveys. And this has enabled us to have a look at employment trends and unemployment trends of migrants and nationals, from which we have gleaned a lot of the data. Population census also includes a similar, not same type of migration module, and that is present in the 2011 census as well as the current 2022 census. Just as a example of some of the indicators that we've been able to produce, if we look at some of the sectors that are usually associated with this narrative around the stealing of jobs, we can see that in restaurants, bars, canteens, shebeens, the proportion of foreign nationals working in those sectors increased in 2012 from 8.5 to 10.6. In hotels, up from 7, it remained steady at 7.2%. In the building sector, it increased from 8.9 to 12%. And in the agriculture sector, from 7.3 to 11.7%. So all of this is indicated in the statement which we released. And as far as the roundtable that we spoke at last week, the focus was on the informal sector. And even in the informal sector as a sector overall, we would find that there are about 10-11% of the informal sector that is made up of foreign nationals. So there does not seem to be evidence that suggests that we are seeing 40, 50, 60% or even more of people being employed in particular sectors that are from people who are born outside South Africa. But at the same time, we are collecting data on census, so we are eagerly waiting to see what that is going to say. We will insert these migration modules into subsequent editions of the quarterly labor force survey so that we're able to have a more updated number. But judging from what we see between 2012 and 2017, where there's not been that much change, we have reason to believe that there should not be really dramatic change between 2017 and 2021 or 2022.
I just wondered perhaps, and I do appreciate that this might not be within your scope of work, but when you take a look at South Africa, are we able to see just how many people make their way into the country each year, maybe just looking at the past 5 or 10 years, and then compare that with a country like Uganda, for instance, which is said to be taking the most number of migrants or refugees on the continent?
Yes, so Uganda is one of those countries that receives a lot of refugees, and I think we must make that distinction because refugees are protected under international law, and very often where there's a conflict in a particular part of the world, let's say in Syria, Ukraine, or Afghanistan, Uganda is one of those countries that puts its hands up and say, you are welcome here. This must be differentiated from what we refer to as mixed migration, which is often economic refugees, children on the move, and other people who enter a country with the prospect of looking for a better life. And then, of course, we also get professionals who receive a work offer before they enter the country and come and enter the country to take up that work. So when it comes to South Africa, we are currently engaging with the Department of Home Affairs to access their data so that we can have an understanding of the number of people who have entered the country on an annual basis. But what we do have for now is that from this demographic model, the mid-year population estimates, we estimate that for the period of 2016 to 2021, there was a net migration, and I think we must be sure that we understand that term, that it's not the number of people entering the country, but it's the net between those entering and those leaving. A net international migration of just over 850,000 persons. Most of these will reside in the province of Gauteng, but they are spread across the entire country to a certain extent. So we're able to make that estimation of 850,000, 852 to be more precise, that are in South Africa for the period between 2016 and 2021.
Thank you very much for availing yourself and providing that information. Diego Iturralde, Chief Director for Demography and Population and Statistics of South Africa.